Thank you. What are the three most important words in the English language? I love you. That's probably a good guess. What are the second most important words in the English language? I'd like to suggest that they are we the people. As most, hopefully all, but probably most Americans know, and many outside the US know, these are the first three words to the preamble to the US Constitution. Kind of the toddler equivalent of mama and dada. The beginning of our country was, the words we the people signaled the beginning of our country. And let's rewind a little bit though to 1787, the Constitutional Congress. Who were the people back then? When Franklin and Jefferson and the other founding fathers drafted the Constitution, what did they mean by people? Well, if you take a look at them, they were white, they were landowners, they were Protestant, and most importantly, they were men. That left out a lot of people. I, for one, would not have been considered one of the people back then. And over the years, we have seen a bitter and often bloody battle to expand the definition of people. And this is I think, illustrated in the right to vote. In the 1850s, some 70 years after the Constitution was drafted, all white men finally got the right to vote. It wasn't until the 1920s that some women got the right to vote. And then it wasn't until the late 1960s that most African Americans got the right to vote. And if you look at other freedoms, opportunities, 200 years on, this is still a work in progress. We are still redefining rights for people. If you look at the rights of the disabled, the rights of the LGBT community, for instance. So our American experiment in democracy is still a work in progress. And 200 years on, we're still working on it. What are the next words that follow we the people? They are, just to remind everyone, in order to form a more perfect union. And that is what we are still working on today. And we're doing this in the United States as the awful events in Ferguson and in North Charleston just last week illustrated. We're not there yet. We still have work to do. And we're doing this internationally as well, as we work to make the world a more peaceful, prosperous, and just place. So this is a dynamic process. It is still evolving. One of my recent bosses at the State Department was Hillary Clinton. And she made a big emphasis on, or put a big emphasis on expanding alliances and working with other people around the world. And it wasn't just relying on politicians or diplomats like me. She put a real emphasis, in addition to government contact, on people-to-people contact. And I think it's in this interconnected world that we live in today, that is so important, and it's something we all have to strive for. We don't live, countries don't live in isolation, people don't live in isolation. Our world is very interconnected. If you look at the financial crisis of 2008, for example, what happened in one country affected the economies of the rest of the world. Or terrorism. terrorism doesn't just cross a moral boundary, it crosses international boundaries. Or the environment. Coal-powered fuel plants in Asia affect the environment here in Europe. The dumping of toxic chemicals, toxic waste off the coast of South America affects marine life off the coast of Australia. So, like it or not, we are all very interconnected, and we have to share in the outcomes. So this is a message to the young people here. My point is, you all need to do your bit. We rely on your ideas, your enthusiasm, your energy, your idealism, your passion. You need to find your voice and get involved. This is your world that you will inherit, and you have a stake in making it a better place. I'd also like to put in a pitch for considering a career in public service. You won't make a lot of money, that's for sure, but you will make a difference. You won't get rich, but you will become enriched, and you will enrich the lives of others. And I think a person who embodies this very well is President Obama. Now, he grew up in a middle-class family, broken home, but he worked hard, studied hard, had his goals, his dreams, his ideals. He ended up going to Columbia and then Harvard. And when he finished there, he could have gone on to a fancy job and made a lot of money, but his first job was as a community organizer on the south side of Chicago, because he thought he could make a difference in people's lives, people who were at a disadvantage. So he pushed to make a difference. He wasn't trying to change the whole world. He was just trying to change a little piece of it. And that's what you all should try and do to make a difference. When my 3 girls were little, I used to read to them from a picture book called Miss Rumphius. Some of you might know it. Miss Rumphius is a girl called Alice who sets out to do 3 things in the world. 1, she sets out to travel and see the world. 2nd, she says she's going to settle in a house by the sea after she's seen the world. And 3rd, she needs to find a way to make the world a more beautiful place. So she sets out and she does that. She travels all over the world and has adventures. She comes back and settles in a house by the sea. But the 3rd thing is really hard, and she can't figure out how to make the world more beautiful. Until she hits on the idea, gets the idea of scattering lupin flower seeds around the town. And so she goes out and buys a bunch of seeds and stuffs them in her pocket, and every time she goes for a walk, she's scattering the seeds. And people think she's kind of crazy, until the next summer when the town is just awash in beautiful flowers. So she found a way to make the world more beautiful. So to all of you, travel. I suspect many of you are already doing that, so you've checked that box. Then you'll settle down, but find your own lupins. Find a way to make the world a better place. One thing that you can do almost immediately is to vote. To vote is a privilege. It is a right, a privilege that we are very blessed to have. And I would say that the biggest threat to the world is not international terrorism, it's not war, it's not Russian aggression, it's apathy and complacency. And this is where you all come in. Don't take what you have for granted. Find a way to get off the sidelines, make a difference, make your voice heard, seize the opportunity. Last fall, I spent some time up in Scotland before the referendum, and it was a wonderful thing to see. the energy and the excitement, the passion. On both sides, people felt very strongly. But nowhere was it more evident than among the young people. I spent an afternoon at a sixth form college, so the equivalent of high school seniors. And to a single, everyone, they were registered to vote. They had decided, almost all had decided how they were going to vote, and they all said they were going to vote. And given that the voter turnout in that referendum was 85%, I'm pretty confident that they did. Now, there's an election coming up here, and some of you may be able to vote in that. We have elections in the United States coming up next year, and some of you may be able to vote then. And I encourage you to do it. Seize the opportunity, make your voice heard, make a difference. Teddy Roosevelt once said that it's not the critic who counts. It's not the person on the sidelines. The credit belongs to the man in the arena who spends himself in a worthy cause. So I challenge you to spend yourselves in a worthy cause, to make the world a better place, to march under the banner of We the People. And so I'll leave you with three more words. Be the people. Thank you very much.